What's up, everybody? It's your girl Erica from the Classy Climb blog. Listen, I try to bring on some of the best, the brightest in the field. And listen, many of you are like, well, Erica, I'll just hop over into tech maybe next year, maybe a couple years down the road, or I'll hop into different careers. I want you to hear this message, and I want you to hear it loud and clear, because I'm from the Carolinas. This young man right here is from the Carolinas, and I want you to understand what's truly about to happen. So if you could, and if you're new to this channel, my name is Erica Williams. I'm a YouTuber who managed over $2 million in assets. By the end of this year, maybe a couple more million. So we'll see how it goes. But Dr. Dix, introduce yourself to the audience.
Hello, my name is Dr. Dix. I am from South Carolina. I have over 25 years of technology experience. I am 36 years old. I have been messing with computers since about 1995. Our first computer was a Tandy computer. And I've been in love with computers ever since. I graduated high school in 2002, started college late trying to find myself. I went to South Carolina State University, got a computer science degree. Then I went back to school while I was working being a programmer, and got an MBA from Webster University with an emphasis in information technology management. And in 2017, I attended Robert Morris University in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, and I got my doctorate of science in information systems and communications. Along while I was working, I flew up to Pittsburgh 23 times. You had to actually go sit in class to earn the degree. So I was forth on a plane 2 weeks, kind of like the military, 2 weeks a year. So we had to do a residency for a whole week, and every weekend for 9 times a year, I was up there Friday and Saturday and Sunday, and got back on a plane, flew back down here. And at the time, it was my girlfriend. But once, I decided to marry her, my fiance was picking me up from the airport. I would take a day off from work, write my dissertation, do all my work. And I'm also an adjunct faculty member. I've taught over 11,000 students. I've been doing that since 2014. So I get to see both ends of the spectrum. I've taught graduate classes. I've taught doctoral classes, computer science, cybersecurity, health classes. So I've done a little bit of everything.
So, y'all, did you hear all that? Did you catch it? Now, listen, what's funny about it is you're from South Carolina, and I call South Carolina our bad cousin. And there's reasons why I call South Carolina our bad cousin. Now, I'll just, hold on. Sorry, we got a little echo. Sorry, I apologize for that. So I call South Carolina our bad cousin because everything historically, civil rights movement, educating people, the Civil War, North Carolina did it right. Now, I know everybody's like, whoa, wait a minute. Now, I just want to hear me out. North Carolina was like, hey, y'all go over there, educate all your people, be nurses, doctors, lawyers, whatever, in your little cities, go over there. Don't bother us. And then when we did do integration, it just, it didn't flow perfectly, but a lot of places did it early and got it over with and was like, just get over it, right? Parts of North Carolina in the mountains went ahead and said, you know what? Everybody on the left-hand part of this state, if you go to college, pay for it, because we can't, there's no way to force y'all to educate yourselves other than to give it to y'all for free. Now, here's where they did it sketchy. They cut off Charlotte because Charlotte was majority Black. So that is a problem. It's still a problem. But I want you to understand that in comparison, if you look at it historically, South Carolina has been our stubborn cousin who's like, I don't care. We ain't going to educate people. I don't care if you send us money. We ain't doing it. They had to force integrate their schools from the islands, and still a huge part of that population is not educated. They still have to drive for hours and hours on buses to send kids to school and send kids to work. So I just wanted to give that kind of backstory, but you can, add some more to that. But the what's happening in South Carolina and North Carolina, but horribly for South Carolina, is people are coming to retire from the North. In most cases, you like, hey, that's great. They're bringing money, they're retiring, they're bringing money to the economy. Well, South Carolina already has a huge elderly population and not enough medical people to even care for the population they have now. So everything that, when I say North Carolina is doing very well, tech, young people, colleges, and South Carolina is like, oh crap, we have a very old population. And now we have to educate all the Black people very quickly into something else, because if not, we're doomed. And tourism is our only way to survive. Which, again, COVID is killing that. So tell me if that was close. If that was not, you can totally correct me. I'm okay with that.
Well, that's close. And one other thing, I don't know if some of your subscribers, they probably seen me before, but I'm part of the Hall of Game with Oshay Duke Jackson. So I've been on that channel talking about this and other topics.
Mm-hmm.
So some of your subscribers might be seeing me there and familiar with me. But yeah, well, you're pretty close with what you're talking about. We down here in the South, we get the perception that all we do is eat mayonnaise sandwiches and practice incest.
No, that's Alabama. Don't do us like that. That's South Carolina, North Carolina. We're distinguished.
You know, you have a lot of people think people in the South are very uneducated, and the South ranks in the United States as one of the most underprivileged, one of the most uneducated areas, because particularly talking about manufacturing, the South is big on repetitive jobs. They're big on manufacturing. They're big on tasks to where you don't need much training to accomplish them. So that is good, but it also comes to bite us in the butt, because now we have a job market full of people that have no skill sets. And if you topped out at $20 an hour, which is 20 times 40 is 800, that's $3,200 a month. You got to think with taxes and the cost of living, you might bring home, let's say $2,000. I don't know, my math might be off, $1,700, $1,800. In the South, you can live off of that, but other places you can't. So what you topped out here, because your skill set is not transferable, will not transfer to another region. And one of the biggest misconceptions, people think, well, okay, I'll take it back down to here. You from North Carolina, I'm from South Carolina. The analogy I give people, if I cannot survive in South Carolina and Erica can't survive in North Carolina, how the hell are we going to survive in Texas where you live at, or California? And
you can't, I mean, like, I'm trying to get y'all to understand how dramatic we're about to make this call, because it's important. I'm from North Carolina. Charlotte, North Carolina was paying people $11, $12 an hour for jobs. People drive an hour to an hour 30 minutes from the border, from South Carolina into North Carolina to work. Every day to work. This is how bad South Carolina is. And I know I'm not trying to crap on South Carolina. Y'all barbecue wrong with the mustard. Y'all doing a lot of stuff wrong, but y'all do some stuff right. But even now, with the influx of people coming from Ohio to Charleston, North Charleston, the Summerhill locations, they're complaining about these people coming in, but really I want to go, this is what's saving y'all. Because without their money to increase the property taxes and increase and clear up the areas and bring in new companies and new jobs, South Carolina is having a hard time. Tourism is basically their dollar. I mean, I remember a couple of years ago when the black churches boycotted South Carolina, right? And it was like, oh, we don't care about that. And then the next year, the governor was like, hey, black churches, come back to South Carolina. Please, we apologize. South Carolina needs your millions of dollars in tourism to survive. Right? Bike week, black and white bike week.
Myrtle Beach.
Myrtle Beach. Myrtle Beach is gross. Y'all love it.
And in South Carolina, there's a county called Allendale County. It is one of the top poorest counties in the whole United States. You were talking about tourism. You have people that catch a bus from Allendale and drive they get on a bus and go all the way to Hilton Head, South Carolina, which is a major tourist attraction. So you're spending 4 hours on a bus. Allendale is way below the federal poverty. Allendale is about 50 minutes from my house. I mean, if I drive to Savannah, I go through Allendale and I go down to Estill and all those country towns in Yamasee where the Geechee people are at, as we call them. So you have areas like that to where those people, the school system was overtaken by the state of South Carolina. Again, when I was in high school, they actually lost control of the school system, and the state came back in recently and said, we're going to control the school system. Allendale, with referring to automation, the only thing there in Allendale is a prison. That's a state organized facility. And down the road in Estill, South Carolina, you have a federal prison. So you don't have much tax. You don't have places that can really be taxed to generate revenue for a city unless you have your local cops. That's why they're always trying to give people speeding tickets.
That's the joke. South Carolina, hey, you want to get a ticket? Go to South Carolina. You want to get, we make fun about North Carolina roads being the best and South Carolina being the worst. And I share screenshots, but they don't have any. I don't think people understand, and I'm saying this and people may think I'm just clowning South Carolina, but I'm really serious. The future that we see in parts of America, when I think of coal miners, I think of South Carolina.
Mm-hmm.
This is our last. When we had Boeing try to come down there and all these, like, you only got two places where factories go to get cheap labor right now: Texas, Dallas, Texas, and South Carolina.
Yeah.
They don't even bring us factories in North Carolina where only tech comes to us now. Tech, even western parts of our state in North Carolina are like crying. They're like, please send a factory out here. And they're like, nope.
Well, I remember about 10 years ago, I went in the interview for this VB.net programming job, and it was in Allendale. I don't know, everybody's heard of Sonic. Sonic has this distinguishable ice they call Nugget Ice. It's made by Scotsman Systems. That facility was in Allendale. So I got to walk through the facility and see everything. And I said, wow, a multi-billion-dollar company in Sonic is getting cheap labor, $8 an hour, people to make the injection molding for their ice machines, to where people say, oh, I love that Nugget Ice, because some people will say, I want a bag of Nugget Ice. So you have things like that going on. And when you're undertrained, for instance, with me being an adjunct faculty member, I've had students at some schools I've taught at that don't know how to attach a file. I've taught from the lower level IT all the way up to now I'm teaching the cybersecurity class. So the educational training is very crappy. So you got to think about it. If you're coming out of high school, the late 2000s, 2010, you don't have any transferable skills. Well, what are you going to do? Well, you'll say, well, I'll work in a factory. So you're going to spend your whole life on a cement floor. That's why, you know, a lot of people that are older, it messes up your knees and your back. So those people work in those facilities, like in the area where I'm at, they closed the facility down. So what are you going to do now? You're 28 years old. You don't have a transferable skill set. So when automation comes in and eliminates the job, what are you going to do? And I remember Erica saying, I think on a previous podcast, to where I think it was one from the other day, to where companies are going to say, well, you have the internet right now. There's no excuse for you not to have a job. So people are not trying to invest in a new skill set to make themselves attainable for employment and attainable. That's how I labeled it in the dissertation I wrote. And a lot of people don't realize what's really about to happen. You're getting on jobs. Amazon is a form of automation. They even have the machines in Walmart now that do the cleaning on the floors. This is the perfect example. All the girls out there that we used to go into Walmart and see had bad attitudes, they have self-checkout. And more of those systems are going to evolve. Every place now has about 4 or 5 aisles. Because people will say, where I live at, you have a big place called Bridgestone. In Columbia, there's called Michelin. People don't realize those companies will invest $400 million to get rid of 200 or 300 people. They will say
every day.
People will say they won't do that. I say, well, in year 1, they won't make money. In year 2, they'll make a negative. In year 3, they make 50. Year 4, they make 150 million. In year 5, they make 500 million. They have invested and made more money. They have the robot doing the job of 200 people. You might, to really run those robots, you need a software engineer, you need an engineer, and you need a custodian. You need somebody. Oh, and by the way, if you have a VPN, I can sit at my house and go through the VPN and configure the robot. I don't need to actually be there. So I can be remote. And this is what people are facing, because when I was in high school, people laughed at people that were smart. We still think it's funny for people that have a brain. I wasn't the best high school student. I was at the bottom of the class. I did not take school serious. It was not because I was dumb or anything. I was one of those kids that didn't take school serious. Now that I had got out of high school in 2002, I saw, a couple of days or years ago, I saw some of my classmates. People don't realize high school popularity does not transfer to dollars in the real world. And those people look very rough. I've seen people that went to school with my sisters and brothers that look very rough. They have social skills, but no life skills.
Wait. Can we explain what rough means?
Who?
Rough. Sometimes we're using slang, but rough means I meet people who are mid-30s, 40s, and they look 50, 60. They're missing teeth. They got bad stuff is going on. I would say I was bullied so bad that at the end of the day, when I came out of the private church, the private Christian school, they just put me into all AP classes where there was literally 10 people per class. And I never, that was my high school experience, because I got bullied so bad. And it wasn't until I like beefed up in tennis that I was like, bring it. I got my racket in the hallway now. What we want to do? We want to do some crazy? And they're like, Miss Erica, get in the class right. But I'll just put it to you this way. Y'all think I'm being dramatic, but South Carolina is the reason they made that movie where they send that dude with the Conroe. He went to the island and he taught the kids how to read and how to write, and they fired him. This is based off real life where you have 13 islands in South Carolina and 13 islands in North Carolina. Mm-hmm. In North Carolina, it was like a great thing. A girl came back to be a teacher. Great. We don't have to send the kids off the island. In South Carolina, when they would send people to educate the kids on the island, because eventually we all know this story, they started taking the land from the people on the island. If you can't read and you've done everything orally, you do everything, your contracts, your writing, your jobs, and not in writing, they can come and do whatever to those people. And they have. I had a friend come from North Carolina, East Carolina University. She was a teacher. She went to teach 5th grade in North Charleston in a school. I'm not going to name the school. She literally cried her second day there. She's like, she told the principal, I have kids here in 5th grade who cannot read. And she was crying. And the principal said, I know. What you want me to do? Mm-hmm. She expected her to come from North Carolina, from East Carolina University, first year teaching, to a classroom of 5th graders. And 5th graders ain't young. 5th grade is what, 11 years old? Somebody help me in there. About 11 years old, who could not read. And the principal was like, well, here's some workbooks. Here's some stuff you can do. And she literally said the material he gave her in Charleston, South Carolina, North Charleston, was literally 3rd grade level stuff.
Wow.
3rd and 4th grade. Like figuring out math problem word paragraphs. Mm-hmm. And she was like, I'm quitting at the end of the year. I can't. I just can't. Like, and we're like, girl, they're going to pay your school? No, she's like, I can't. Like, I can't sit in a system that knows this and does not care. And that's and part of why I'm advocating so hard for this is these kids aren't dumb. Mm-hmm. These kids know how to work phones and TikTok and design and graphics. And, we joke about MySpace. People were coding on MySpace. These kids aren't dumb. They just need to be taught. So finish. Because automation, give them some numbers. Automation's about to hit them.
It's about to hit. I know. I'm trying to remember straight out my dissertation. I wrote it. Well, in the dissertation, one of the biggest things was we have something to where it's called rural brain drain. Basically, like you and I are from North Carolina, from South Carolina. I get educated here and I don't come back to the local area. I go somewhere else to take my skill set. Mm-hmm. So the pandemic right now is accelerating. If you're in a rural area, you could be in a metropolitan area. The things that are about to happen, for one, loss of jobs. 60 million people. I said this earlier. I cannot reiterate this more. 60 million people, maybe 20 million people may go back to work. And a lot of people are saying, well, you could Google this. They'll say, well, they're going to create jobs. The jobs that they're create, this is what people are thinking. Well, they're going to create something called advanced manufacturing. Advanced manufacturing is high-level STEM, science, technology, engineering, mathematics. You have to have a degree to do advanced manufacturing. Basically, what I'm trying to tell folks, if you don't have a trade or a skill set, you are about to be unemployed. And wherever you're living at, the crime rate is going to get extremely high. Drugs are going to get extremely high. You are not going to have a job. And like Erica was saying, you might have to drive 90 minutes to get a job. And you got to think about it. Well, I got 15 years of skilled labor. We don't care about that. We can hire a temp agency that could get people in here for $9 an hour. We're not about to pay you $25 an hour. And you'll be like, man, that's messed up. No, it's not. You should have went to school to get you a trade or get a different skill set, because what is happening, the wealth gap is getting bigger. People are seeing we don't need many people to do the same amount of jobs and to get the work. The thing is, I see Antoine Wade right there.
Don't look at them. Keep going, because they'll mess you up. Keep going. Don't look at the comment section.
The thing is, I see a lot of people just thinking it's a game right now. Because when I was at SC State, I'll never forget. This is in the year 2009. We had about 2 semesters to get our computer science degree. We had guys saying, man, you know what? I'm about to switch my major. We only have 2 semesters left. Man, it's too hard. And the thing I would like to tell the listeners, if you start quitting on something now, you're going to quit on stuff your whole life. There are guys now back that's 11 years ago, I'll be out of school this May, that said, man, if I just would have stuck and got those extra 30 credit hours, I would have been in a position to work remotely. I would have been in a position to work from anywhere. I would have been in a position to do anything. So now you're stuck and you're mad at the world. One of the things is where I work for now, I haven't been to work since December, and they told us, well, we don't know if y'all need to come back to work. You can still work remotely. My fiance and I work at the same place, so she's able to work. We don't really have to.
Okay, now I see you. Okay, now watch out for the get you now.
we don't really have to work at the same place. We don't have to be around with many people. So the thing is, what I've gotten her to see, as long as you have as long as you're educated and have a skill set and have access to the internet, you can always make money. The people now that you find that are screaming and screaming for things are the people that don't have a transferable skill set.
Yeah.
The thing now is people are now starting to enroll in classes. I teach school, and we have 130 kids in one class. The rates of people going to school now has accelerated tremendously. So now, say again.
Military and trucking schools are starting to be full, and nursing schools have been backed up for 4 years anyway. So go ahead.
So the thing is, we have people that now are seeing the advantage of education. One of the things I want to tell everybody is not too late to go back to school, but you got to think about it. If you're 36 like I am, you're playing behind everybody else that's a younger kid that is fluent with technology, because a lot of people never retrain on a skill set. They stay doing the same thing all the time, and they get caught up in the mix. And now they're stuck without a job, or they're stuck in middle management. The thing is about a company, to get the most out of you, paying you the least amount of money. You need to make it to where once you get off of work, you can make more money. You need to, in this economy we live in, I think Kevin Samuels called it the gig economy. You got to have about 7 or 8 streams of income. People will say, why you need that much to survive? Because at any time, any job could get rid of you. With them automating things, it is hard to beat the algorithm. It is hard to beat the algorithm and a computer system. How are you going to compete against something like that? I mean, they have in the factories, they'll have the people working on the line, as they call it. People, y'all don't know what that is. That's an assembly line where everybody's making the same part. Because, a lot of people have heard people say, I work on the line. That's you basically on the line receiving a part. They will have the robots doing machine learning. Machine learning is basically learning how a human does a motion, and then it will calculate an algorithm to say, I can predict, or I can do data points to make that algorithm faster. If they can find a way to shave 0.5 seconds off of one motion and incorporate it and get a robot to do it, that means they can produce 10 more items every hour. If you do that in 365, say a facility runs 24 hours a day, 365, that is major money that they're making. And with the robotic side of it, people will look at it and say, man, that machine can't do what I can do. It can do it better and perfect it. The thing is, robots have came a long ways. They have now what are called collaboration robots. They work in tandem with a human right beside them. The robot, as I just stated, is learning your emotions. It is going to perfect the shortest way and the quickest way to do something. People out there, you cannot compete with a robot. And people will say, well, what can I do to ensure I have a job? You can train on a skill set. You can also figure out that an occupation that can't be automated yet. They can't automate how to do hair yet. They can't automate a haircut. There are some things that need to be automated, like certain chemicals, certain things that involve humans, that way they can get killed. They have robots in the military now that are actually helping with the soldiers, not putting them on the front line. We just have so many applications that artificial intelligence can be used in. They're using AI for the pandemic to do predictability. And I don't know if anybody out here has heard of it. They have what they call deep learning and neural networks. Basically, these are networks of information that are using algorithms to figure out our best course of action to take on stuff. And They have now, when, you know, people were going to a lot of the rallies earlier. I told folks, do not go to a rally. They would say, why not? All those cameras use what they call facial recognition.
Yep.
So how do you think the cops now don't have to go out there? They got facial recognition. This is all.
Wait, here's the funny part. What you say, when people talk about the rallies, I worked at Lowe's as manager, maybe now it's like 4 or 5 years ago. It's like 6 years, but the cops were like, stop. Even the shoplifting, they were like, stop stopping people. We have the camera. When the person walks normally, we've taken a picture of their face. We've taken their height. We're going to send the thing to their house. And if they don't respond, we're going to send the police over there to their house to pick them up. We had a little computer box, this giant thing. And people were like, oh, it's a police camera. No, it was a computer box because it was connected to the system at Lowe's and taking people's pictures. This was over 7 years ago, y'all. Yeah. Like, even to be funny, the black dude who turned himself at the Capitol riot, they weren't even looking for him because they were still going through all the faces. And he's still in jail because he's like, I turned myself in and all the other white people are going home. I'm like, because one, they have jobs and money. Two, you're silly. They would have had to come knock on my door and find me. Now, 2 other points I want to reach out to what you're talking about the brain drain.
Yeah.
They had to create a program in East Carolina called the Rural PA degree. So what they would do is focus on you being a PA so that they could send you back into rural parts of North Carolina. Because they knew you were going to take a pay cut. They knew you were going to be, but you were being close back to home and you could be the local doctor back home. And people were like, PA, you're not a doctor. They didn't even understand that the PA had enough power to write prescriptions, do all this stuff. You know what I mean? Also on the brain drain in Mississippi right now, in Chicago people in Mississippi, there's more people who have inherited land in Mississippi that live in Chicago than live in Mississippi. So all those people that flew, 1920s, 1930s, their grandchildren and children now own land in Mississippi, but don't live there. Mississippi's been on a recruitment for the past 6 years to bring those people from Chicago. And the ads are literally like, leave Chicago, come back to Mississippi. Here's all this land. We need you to teach the schools. We need you because they've already calculated that if their people are in Chicago and they're still there, for chances are they're more educated and they can come back and bring the skill to Mississippi. Now, how many people leave in Chicago for Mississippi? Not many.
Not many.
And if they are leaving, it's because they're struggling. Let's just keep it a buck, okay? Okay, let's just be honest. Now, I remember being in a conference about 7 years ago, and I talk about this conference all the time. They had already said California companies were coming to Chattanooga, Nashville, Northern Atlanta, which really it became Alpharetta, Charlotte, Raleigh, North Carolina, Austin, Texas, and somewhere in Florida. And I was like, what? Why would they move to California? This is 7 years ago now. They had already planned this. And then I remember in part of the conference, they were talking about restructuring jobs. The guy in there talking for South Carolina said, we need, and this is 7 years ago, we need 50,000 people right this moment to be retrained in South Carolina into the medical field. They meant surgical techs, they meant hospital staff. They didn't mean people cleaning, wiping the floors. They're talking about everything else that was in the hospital. What's the fastest way we get these 50,000 people up to train and to be the medical staff we need, because the population in South Carolina was so old. And they had already predicted, and this is 7 years ago, that they needed 50,000 people. They needed to figure out how to train them fast. So when I talk about community colleges and why are these community colleges full, I think a lot of people, unfortunately, in the mid-30s to 40s think they slick. I'm going to get me a Pell Grant. I'm going to get me some money and pay my bills. I'm going to get me a car off this Pell Grant, not realizing you need to be paying attention, sis. You need this job. These other jobs are going away.
Yep. And
go ahead.
And you have a lot of people. You have a lot of people now complaining. I asked them, what are you going to school for? You need to go to school for jobs that can give you a ROI, return on your investment. And a lot of people are going to school for jobs and fields. So you spent $80,000 to make $40,000 a year. That's not a good investment. I said, you have to be smart on what you're doing. Well, I don't like to do stuff in that field. I said, you need to have a hobby. That's one of the problems now with
That's the number one thing with Black people. I don't like that. That's boring. That job is boring.
And you know that black people will say that, and they don't realize, well, you could make $90,000 working from home right now and say, you know what, I can start on my side business on the side. They don't see the sacrifice. That's one of the biggest things that we black people, I really try to get them to see. It took me, I graduated out of high school in 2002. I didn't start the school to 16. I went to some technical schools trying to see what I was going to do. But throughout the whole process, I was moving forward. And pushing myself. One of the biggest things I tell everybody, you got to believe in yourself. We get in these career fields and we hang around. I'm gonna be straight up. 99% of black people need to stop hanging around their family and friends, because you're gonna realize when you're about my age, if you're 20 years old now, you're older, that your family and friends held you back because they're not doing anything and they wanted you to sit there and just be grumpy with them. 90% of y'all have the intelligence to do a lot of things, but you're afraid to fail or how it'll make me look. Y'all are investing in the wrong things in life. You want to go to school to party. People will say, did you pledge when you went to school? No, I went to get my degree. I was on a business trip. I got time for all that later, because I tell folks now, I watch a lot of channels on YouTube. One of the biggest things, one of the guys said, Nino Brown said, a lot of y'all every week celebrating failure. He said, you going out every week and you are celebrating failure. Nobody in the group. If it's 10 of y'all hanging around, girls and guys all mixed up together, if y'all cannot come up with $1,000, we have problems.
Yeah.
Between 3 people, y'all should be able to come up with $2,000. That's telling me if somebody get in jail, say for instance, somebody car breakdown, somebody got to defend themselves and they say, well, my bail $50,000, I need $5,000 to get out. All 10 of y'all cannot come up with $5,000. So a bunch of y'all broke, hanging around each other with no ambition, no dreams, spending money on stupid stuff. So now life has hit you in the face. You want to complain to everybody. You change your major 20 times. You quit on life. You quit on yourself. And when everybody has aunts and uncles and cousins in the family that pull people to the side and say, man, you're messing your life up. You're messing your life up. Stop making all them kids. Stop selling the drugs. And now it's hard enough to get a job without a criminal record. Right. So, in a degree. So you telling me, imagine having all those things against you. And this is what I try to get people to see. You have to train and focus your mind on what you need out of life. When you wake up in the morning, your plan should be, what can I do to make my life better? I live life every day as if these people get rid of me on my job today, what backup plans do I have? I never get complacent with anything in life because the pandemic could erase anything. And I was in college in 2008. A lot of people lost their jobs when the recession happened. A lot of people never recovered. And a lot of people wake up every day doing the same old crap, thinking it's a game. My fiance asked me, she said, why you never relax? I said, I am relaxed because if something happens, I can afford to take care of it. I can afford to move if we need to. Once we get married, because we live separately, and I'll go to her house and she'll say, when you come here, you just try to do a lot of stuff. I said, let me tell you something. Everything has an end game. I said, right now, while I have the energy and we don't have children, let's do what we need to do. I even got her investing in and looking at things for extra money. I told her being married, it takes money. 90% of marriages fail over money. And if you can take care of the financial part of a marriage, all the other problems, health, you could fix other problems as long as it's nothing too severe. But the thing is, you cannot go into life with this bullshit plan thinking, oh, I'm a shortchange people. You are not. There are no shortcuts in life. You got to climb the ladder.
Can you on a roll? But I have to interject and say this real quick. A lot of us, unfortunately, in the minority community, start late. We're worried about what people think. We in our 20s partying all the time. We having babies young. We doing these things out of order. Now I'm gonna tell you like this. I've spent a lot of my life with white and Korean and Asian friends, military friends, and people make fun of the military guys, but they come out, they get the GI Bill. They already get in the house. They got the GI Bill pilling for them while they at college, and it's paying them $1,500 a month. While everybody else is struggling all these jobs, they got money coming in. Yeah. A lot of my friends that did STEM and did tech, they're in their early 30s now, And the women are doing this. They're going, okay, well, Erica, you know, girl, I'm about to go home for the next 4 years and sit back and relax and do this and that, and we're going to get married and da-da-da. And the conversations I have with a lot of my white and even my black friends in tech is 100% different than a lot of my other minority friends who's just now like, girl, I just got my entry-level job in Raleigh. I'm so excited. It's my first tech job, and they're in their mid-30s.
Oh, yeah.
In their mid-30s, you have to understand, from 35 to 45, they are going to be grinding to keep that job because now they got to learn the skill. Now they got to get uphill in tech because they just got in there and they got in there late, and young people coming in and knowing it right off the gate, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I'm sitting here telling y'all, like, and you listen, don't make decisions. There's that preacher that say, don't make decisions with your 35-year-old mind that your 50-year-old body's gonna have to pay for.
Yeah.
And this is what's happening. We got a lot of young, and I'm gonna tell y'all very honestly, I've done hundreds of consults this year. It's a bunch of 35 to 45 men that have called and be like, yo, Erica, which one do you think? Because I can't do this no more. My back, my shoulders, security. I'm tired of doing security. I got to do something else.
Yep.
I've been working at a warehouse in Dallas. What can I do next? And these are my calls, y'all. And it's like breaking my heart because when you're 35 to 40 and you want to have a wife and you want to have kids and you want to have a house in Dallas, but you got to do a whole new career. Do you see what I'm saying? Like, you got to start from scratch and really grind to get up in that career. Because when you get to a certain level in career, you can go laterally, right, Dr. Dix? Like, you've seen people, hey, I'm over here, I'm sliding over here. They never drop below 70, 80,000 a year because they've had that time in their career and they know a lot of people.
Yeah, that's exactly how it works. And
when I'm sitting here talking to all my white and Asian girlfriends and they get ready to go home for the next 5 years because they've been an engineer in their 20s and 30s and traveled and had money. And they're often like, why are people complaining about the cost of living, Erica? I'm like, honey, you don't understand that you and your husband, your new husband, y'all make 150 something a year together. And if you go home, he's still gonna make 70. Or some of them are making 200,000 together. And if she goes home, he's still at 100 and still gonna go up. In Austin, they don't understand when I'm doing these shows. They're like, why are you always talking about money on these shows? Because the bulk of people are starting late.
Yep. And
go ahead.
It's a bad problem. And what people don't understand, for instance, say you had a remote job. I live in South Carolina. The cost of living is very low. Say you move from New York, for instance, I got some neighbors out here in the country 4 or 5 years ago. They said, hey, we're from New Jersey. So, you know, people in New Jersey get big retirement and they got in the military. So if you sold your house up there for $800,000 in New Jersey, a house down here in South Carolina, do you know the kind of house you get for $350,000? You sold your house, got a profit, paid cash for your house. The cost of living is cheap. So that's the game other groups of people are playing. Like you said, like we're playing from behind because I'll never forget. People laughed at me. I was 20 years old. You stay with your parents. I said, one of the biggest things I tell anybody, if you can stay with your parents while you go through school, stay with your parents, because that's the time in life when you're in your early 20s, you can make stupid decisions and you don't have to worry about being homeless. That's the biggest thing I tell folks. When you're in your early 20s, this is the time now to test stupid stuff. Oh, I don't like this job. Well, you got your mom and dad you can live with. And one of the biggest things that I'm blessed that my parents are not here now, people will say, man, you're so real and rough and you don't have compassion for a lot of things. I said, I have compassion, but one of the biggest things my parents taught myself and my two siblings was about life. There are no games out here. There are no handouts. Either you get up and get it or nobody is giving it to you. And that's how I live my life. That's how I would live, when I have children. I have a wife and I have children and everything. And other groups get the process. For instance, if I go to talk to a group of kids about automation that are non-Black, their parents would probably take you to the side, bombard you and say, what do they need to do? What they need to do? What they need to do? Black kids be like, man, he don't know what he talking about. He ain't got no swag. I said, I want to tell you what, all them little Asian kids in here about to own all the buildings. Y'all.
Listen, real quick, Dr. Dix, I'm in a group of several women who all married Asian men. Like the last 6 women have married Asian men. An Egyptian, Ethiopian, 2 Black girls. There's 1 Black girl married a Korean. She was overseas in Korea, cybersecurity, military, army, met a dude who's one of their contractors that works, Korean guy, married. Y'all missing, not that I'm all like, oh, interracial marriage. You can meet anybody, but even here in Austin, there's a lot of black guys in tech that people look over. And I'm telling you, that guy in tech, long future. The guy you're joking off with that's playing around all the weekends, back gonna hurt in about 5 more years. Not gonna want to get up and do construction. Not gonna want to get up and do a lot of this stuff. It's gonna be heavy. And when we hear automation, people think, well, that doesn't matter. 150,000 women lost their job in December. They didn't think it mattered. Retail, admin, gone. Gone.
Yep.
And Angela said, how can you be 35 to 40 and not know nothing about computers? Honey, if you've heard the calls I've been on, I'm literally tearing up as I'm on the phone. People are like, I just didn't realize computers were going to be that big of a deal.
Well, if you're 35 to 40, you're in the same age group. The internet, I remember in 1996, 97, I would hear America Online. You have. How do you not know about computers? Because you had
we're too busy being cool.
You had a lot of us want to be cool, and at the end of the day, we're broke as hell. You don't have any money. I am 36 years old. This goes for men and women. I'm 36 years old. I tell any man, when you get in your mid-30s, this is going to sound far-fetched. For you to get married, if you're in your mid-30s, as a man, you need to make a minimum of $10,000 a month. That's $120,000 a year.
Nobody wants to hear that.
Out of 120,000, you might bring home 80.
Mm-hmm.
If you can't, somebody will say that's a lot of money to make in 1 month. When you think about the cost of living and how stuff happens in life, you better have at least that or more. So how you want to marry a woman and you can't even make 10 stacks a month? Somebody will say, well, it don't take that much to live. Yes, it does take that much to live. Because
real quick. I have to say this. Y'all do understand there's like a 10-year window. What he's talking about is spot on. Even if you're 35 making 120, by the time you're 45, you're already on the backheel slide. If you don't have investments, a lot of these companies are letting guys go in their 40s and 50s. There's a guy who just got let go at Samsung because a fire broke out. And somebody had to take the blame. Guess who took the blame? The oldest dude on the team. He was the lead. He was the manager. You start getting to a level of management out here in some of these careers, making 192. If you don't do an excellent job and get transferred to a manager at another company, your income's going down. So he's not talking crazy. You got a good 10-year window where you have banging income. Yeah. You best not be playing with it, but go ahead and finish.
And you don't live, no matter how much money you make. This is the money rule I've always lived by. If 1 week paycheck does not pay a bill, do not buy it. Somebody will say, what do you mean? If you make $4,000 a month, don't buy anything that costs over $1,000, because what people mess up and do, we're going to get married and we're going to combine incomes to pay the mortgage. Y'all about to be homeless.
She going home. That chicken, see, people think this is a game. I'm telling you, when I'm talking to even a lot of the black women I know here in Austin, they home. Mm-hmm. They're like, oh my God, I'm working from home, girl. They're kind of wanting us to go back. I'm not going back in that building. I'm here. You know what I mean? And so I'm talking to them and I'm like laughing, not because I'm judging them, but a lot of them are like, the traffic, I got kids, I got family, I'm not going back. Nah, I'm good. If I can't work from home, then they'll have to make me part-time or I won't do it.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a whole series and a whole book I'm getting ready to put out, Dr. Dix, but you spot on. I'm telling you, this stuff is economic. All these channels that you see where they angry and everybody's miserable and talking about dating, the dating thing is just a symptom of the economics.
Yep, you broke. You can't.
You broke. You got 2 kids. Now she better have some money. She better be a size 2. Baby, even if she brings all that to you, you broke. You can't even handle that.
This is how I look at it. You need to have by yourself $5,000 to $6,000 a month to live, minimum. If your mortgage is $1,500, your car payment is $7,000. I said before you even take money out, that's $2,200, not even counting taxes, healthcare, 401k. As Kevin Samuel said, and I agree with him 100%. If you are single, if you're single and you're broke, you got a serious problem because you don't have no reason to be broke.
By yourself.
You don't have no kids. Say, for instance, you don't have family members that are sick. You don't have kids. The first thing I'll tell anybody, no matter if you're a married couple, y'all need to have 4 incomes. Somebody need to be working an alternate shift. Well, I say, especially if you don't have kids, damn all that cuddling up and lovey-dovey stuff when the lights off and the house foreclosed on, that does not matter. And a lot of guys that look like me think, oh man, I could do this in the bedroom. Nobody don't care about that when you ain't got no money. You don't want to be a man laying on somebody's couch, having to sleep with somebody to have a roof over your head. And a lot of guys are finding themselves in that predicament. You played around in life, because I remember seeing the guys, you know, when you're in high school, oh man, they don't abide by the rules. If you can't listen to the rules of high school, how you gonna listen to the rules of life? And people don't understand how that works. So you can't listen to, I need to come to class and get up in the morning. Now you're out here with no job skills. Oh, I rob and take for people. Well, there are people that have guns, and the people have that's the thing I've told folks. You rob somebody, they say they can't shoot me and get away with it. I say, what you don't realize in the world how it works, they're gonna look at that person. That's a taxpayer. They ain't got no criminal record. Don't even worry about it. The other they're gonna look at you dead on the street and be like, oh, don't even worry about it. Go home. They will say, I'm getting away from you. That's how the game works.
It is. Listen, what people have to understand, there's been about 600 cases in Texas where people have shot back at the cops. A lot of them been black. And won the court case, the 600. That's how many have won it. And people are like, how are they winning these court cases? It's called a lawyer. It's called money. It's called, you know what I mean? The problem I'm having right now is someone said in a video, and I'm not going to name their channel, but they were kind of clowning me like, oh, she's telling people to get tech. That's stupid. You just want people to go get more jobs. 99% of y'all going to get a job. Y'all not starting a business. Let's keep it a buck. 99% of y'all are like, I just want a job that pays more. So I'm just trying to give you shows and people on shows who can show you a way to make $100 grand where it's not a surprise. I had a friend basically sell a house and take the $200,000 profit, moved to Oklahoma City, took a job paying her almost $100 grand less, and her lifestyle has not changed because the cost of living in Oklahoma is low. She took another tech job, but lost $100 grand taking that tech job, but she was married to another tech person. So she didn't lose anything. And so when people try to sit here and go, well, why are you telling people about jobs? I'm telling you, if this YouTube thing did not work out, Dr. Dix, I have friends who already were giving me entry-level jobs over here at Dell and also at Samsung.
Yep.
And I was for $75K, and then 2 years later, you can get up to 95. Well, I wasn't playing this game. I wasn't going to be out here broken Austin. I was like, oh, I'm out.
Well, YouTube is not going, what people don't realize, Black Planet, I saw that in the comments. We remember Black Planet, MySpace. YouTube is not going to be around for all these years to come. And people think, oh, I'm going to get on here and create streams. Most of the content creators like yourself have regular jobs that pay them money. This is something they do on the side to get additional money. And you've had content creators that made a lot of money off of this. We're not trying to get everybody to go into tech. We want you to go into a field where it is a transferable skill set to where you can work from anywhere. You can be getting paid $180,000 in Texas, but you live over here in South Carolina. They don't know that because now one of the big things now with the pandemic, oh, I forgot to say this, you live in Dallas, so I think that's a hub for American Airlines or United.
American Airlines, I think.
The airline industry is never going to be the same. The airline industry already said that most of our money came from business. Well, with the internet now, airline companies are going to lose millions of dollars. Some of them are going to go out of business because nobody is flying anywhere. Basically, they used to have people every day or every other month on a plane to go someplace. Now we could do it remotely. Versus now, I can have you go to Arizona if I live in South Carolina for 5 times a year. I give you a stipend in your paycheck to pay for your internet service. The building we were paying $500,000 a month, we don't even need a building anymore. So now we have people that are seeing cost saving measures, and a lot of companies are doing this. But at the end of the day, you need to be where you can move anywhere. Like, say, for instance, I wanted to move to Kentucky. I can move to Kentucky because I do a lot of remote stuff on the side. A lot of people have businesses that are not going to make it past the pandemic. You got to have long-term vision. You got to have the pandemic is not going to last. And the world is on pause right now. But when this is over with, the world is going at it 100 miles an hour. And y'all have to remember, you better have a skill set, because the immigrants and all these other folks coming in, they're not playing games. They're going to say, well, you were here for 40 years. You didn't get it right. We don't have to hire you. Or
we don't have to. And here's the thing: we joke about the black tax, where people and their family making the most money pay money back. I can tell y'all how I've done hundreds of phone calls where somebody in their family is making 150, and they're giving it almost 50 between their mom and their siblings out of their checks. Like by the time they've counted it up, just trying to maintain their family. That's why when people say, Erica, oh, I don't give my family money, I'm like, honey, this recession, that they gonna find, hey, where you live at? I need to come live with you. People are going to be doing that. The mother-in-law suites right now in Dallas, Texas, all the houses have these mother-in-law suites over a certain price point because they already know your adult kids and your mother or your father or somebody's gonna come live with you.
Yeah.
They already know. They're not. See, the thing is, I'm trying to ring the bell, and if it's not cool and sexy, black people ain't trying to hear it. If it ain't a video with a bunch of cars, if it ain't flipping real estate, wholesaling, not owning nothing, just wholesaling all the time, right? If it's not something sexy, stocks, auctions, trading, day trading, people don't really want to hear it. And so I used to say, me and Terry used to crack up at this. I was like, yo, I'm not one of these married women who husband has a job, I have a job, and I'm doing YouTube on the side. YouTube's full-time paying me. I've been in the 1% for 3 years now. Like, and so like when I do my taxes, I'm paying all this thousands of dollars in taxes. I'm like, let me tell y'all something. Y'all better get for real out here. Because it's some heavy taxes, but it's also a lot of opportunity. I've been bringing on you, Lane, all kind of people on the channel. I'm gonna probably bring on Tam, talking about different cybersecurity or tech related jobs. But I want you guys to understand, like, I'm bringing these people on as I'm trying to ring the bell. Because what I'm seeing here in Austin, I'm seeing people here move here from North Carolina, South Carolina, Virginia, Georgia. You talk to them, first thing they tell you, oh, I work at this company. I relocated for here. I'm like, but you ain't got to work in the office. Yeah, I just want to be close just in case they change their mind in a year or two. Mm-hmm. They don't have to stay in those small towns. They don't have to.
Yeah, and it's, this is one of the biggest problems I see too. We'll get a job. I know people now said I had interviewed for a job in 10 years. You need to be interviewing for a job every year. The skill set. Now they have interviews over, you have to have Zoom etiquette or whatnot. You need to know, like I have on a collar shirt. You need to know, well, what do I need to have in the background? How the lights hit my face and everything.
Sure.
People need to learn how to interview. An interview is nothing but a psychological test because pretty much if they saw your resume, they want to they want to talk to you. They want to see how you get along with people. Can you perform the task? And then you also have to remember, jobs change, skill sets change. Are you reading? Are you staying up to date on the latest trends? Are you using your computer besides or your phone besides for TikTok and the silhouette and all this?
Ginger.
No, they're gingers. I'm going to ask people, how many of y'all are actually using the internet to make money versus looking for crap? Your brain is being fried by stupidity. Because most of the people you around, they're not going to go anywhere in life. And if they see you going someplace, you need to get yourself away from them. Family, friends, you have to get away from people that are not trying to do the same thing you're doing because it will tear you down. Don't let people call you with their problems. It is no game. Out here buying $90,000 Hellcats down here in South Carolina.
I'm sorry.
They got $90,000 Hellcat. I said, if you got a $90,000 car, you need to be making almost $200,000 a year. Why would you spend $90,000? Well, it's to get the chicks, man. Said, no, nobody cares about that. Y'all trying to relive the high school years. It is grown woman and grown man stuff now. Wells Fargo, Rocket Mortgage, whatever mortgage company, if that mortgage is $1,500 the first of the month, you better have it there the first of every month. They don't care. They'll put you out on the street because the first thing they'll tell you, well, we'll have somebody else buy the house. And people are not seeing that. The cars and everything. The repo game is about to be big. Well, people buy cars. I see it all the time. We buy cars to look flashy. A Mercedes or a BMW costs a lot of money. When I went on the car lot to buy a car, the first thing I look at the tires. But one of the things I noticed, I told the salesman, these are 19-inch double beaded wheels on this Honda. I said, these tires are $250 a piece. I said, it's an odd number tire. Odd number tires are always expensive. They're low profile. So one of the biggest things I also look at, like, let me see service. They'll make it seem as if the service is free. You need to read that paperwork. So I bought a car that will get me from point A to point B. The thing what people don't do when they buy cars, you always got to think, if I lose my job, can I afford to pay for this car with a credit union buy it back from me? You $800 a month car payment look like chump change right now till you don't have it. Why are you buying an $800 car when you could go on a buy here, pay here lot for $5,500 and get a $200 car payment or pay the car off in 6 months? You could get you a Honda, Toyota, Corolla. You don't need to be, you're trying to live, you're trying to look successful, as Nino Brown say, instead of become successful. When you don't have no money in your pocket, if you have a household, you need to have about $10,000 in an account laying around. Somebody would say, why you need that kind of money? Your hot water heater break, the stove, the water machine, AC system, $6,000 to $7,000 to put in. Most AC systems got the outside unit, the inside unit, and most contractors going to tell you, we're going to replace all the duct work too. We can't guarantee it. Oh, my bad. We got to replace all the. So you have a lot of people that out here living life don't really know what it costs. Well, I can afford a $500,000 house. Can you afford the property taxes every year? Do you know what it costs? It costs to heat and cool this house. They don't think about the life they're living. Like, how much money you saving a month? You have a family. You want people to think you got it in. I said, people, what you going to do if you don't have a job? If your company say you got to either move to Indiana or lose your job, 90% of everybody going to say, I'm going to lose my job. I can't move to Indiana because you don't have the skill set to get another job. Or B, you spent all your money. You in debt. I'm in student loan debt. That's good debt. I look at the student loan debt. I said, I wouldn't be able to have the opportunities I have now if I never went to school. The cost of school is too high anyway, but it's an investment. The way I used to tell the students, you can spend $80,000 on an education, or you could spend $80,000 on a Cadillac Escalade. Take your pick. Because at the end of
the education, even the community college, you're going to spend about $5,000 to $8,000.
Yeah.
You talk about we've got a few family members right now where they're so hard at. I'm like, listen, I will pay for you to go to HVAC, AC. I will pay. We'll cut a check. You know why? Because I know in the long term it'll cost me less than them dealing with them now.
Yeah, because people got these expensive cars and stuff, and I don't have money like that anyway. But if I had a bunch of money, you wouldn't know it. I wear New Balance shoes because I got wide.
New Balances. Come on now, wait a minute. No.
I got a pair of New Balance shoes, some Levi jeans, and I have an $8 Old Navy shirt. And I wear a jacket. I wear like a NASA jacket because I went down to Kennedy Space Center. Or I have a hoodie on. I don't need to wear my money, but if I need to get a nice suit or have one, that's different spending $500 for a suit. But
but you've seen it in Charleston, South Carolina, and some old money out there owning half of North Charleston, walking around in Levi's, New Balances, and a polo. And that's why I tell people, like, old money, depending on where you're at, old money is really land and houses. It's not necessarily just bricks or money laying around in your house, right?
Yep.
Part of what I want people to understand about some of the stuff we're talking about today is when I talk about trade, sales, manager, or tech, I mean it from the standpoint of the cost of living. When you think about California, you're like, man, there's janitors in California making $100,000 and they qualify for low-income housing. Like when you hear that, they're like, well, Erica, you're in Ohio, or this person's in here, or they're in Oklahoma. Some of this same stuff will start coming to these places because there won't be this, like when we say there'll be no jobs, if you ever get a chance, I want you to drive through some parts of Pennsylvania at your own risk. Okay, be glad, be careful. Pennsylvania, you drive through some parts of Ohio, you're like, it looked like a ghost town, right? You drive through some parts of West Virginia, you're talking about cleared out, nothing going on. You watch the Hallmark movies in the small town squares, got some stuff going on. Yep. Barely that, right? Yep. And a lot of this is, if you're here in Texas, you'll see Georgia plates and North Carolina plates and South Carolina plates all the time. A ton of South Carolina plates. The guys will bid for contract jobs in Texas from South Carolina, bring their crew out, they fill up hotels, work on it for a few months, and then go back. So I'll meet people all the time. They're like, girl, I'm from Georgia. Oh, I'm from South Carolina. And you'll be like, what are you doing out here? Oh, girl, we working this job for a month and then we all gonna go back. Think about how desperate your economic situation has to be that you are taking 8 grown men, shoving them in multiple hotel rooms over here at the weekly stay, to complete a contract in a whole nother state. That's how low the jobs are. And this isn't uncommon. Y'all can go here all the time. All the hotels over here on I-35 are full of Georgia, South Carolina, and other states place construction worker trucks.
Yep, and it's going to get worse. You're going to see more homeless people because of what's going on with them automating everything. And, there used to be a lot of good paying jobs because people would say, well, the job isn't going to go away. One of the things I talked about when I wrote my dissertation was the telephone system. They used to pay people to switch when you called a switchboard. Mm-hmm. Now, routers and switches, we don't need to do that anymore. That's all automated. We could call from any place. If you think about now, one of the biggest things now is, which has always been a problem, was getting the internet to rural areas. Now, you can't get fiber anywhere. If people don't know about the internet, fiber is very expensive, but it's just fiber is basically glass, light shot through glass to transmit the signal band to transmit basically packets and data to go over a long distance. Single mode is for a small area, but if you want to go a long distance, you'll do multi-mode. You might put repeaters on it. So all through South Carolina, I see them laying tubes down, and you'll know it's fiber because fiber, you don't have to put any kind of electricity on it. You could just shoot it end to end. You take it to a switch, you put it into a Cisco switch or whatever kind of switch it is. You have the whole neighborhood go to it and say, wow, we got one big ring right now. I don't know if they too much build redundancy on a fiber network or anything, but now they're putting fiber everywhere. They can't, that's the only thing they can get the signal out to everybody. They can't put down regular Cat 6. I mean, Cat 6, some people's houses, you will have the actual fiber jumper come out the wall and go to the back of it. But now the pandemic, that's one thing I've always complained about. We never had enough internet bandwidth in the country. So now they're doing that. So
have you seen Florida? Have you been down to Florida? Like you go South Florida where it's still rural parts, they'll have those signs like internet, fast internet. And so I'm thinking, oh, okay, fast internet. Then you read the sign and it's like satellite. They have to literally still get that
the DSL.
The DSL. CenturyLink made all that money off of rural Alabama and South Carolina. And then that big fight they had with China, they were like, Trump, shut up. All our parts, everything we do to run this internet through rural Alabama and South Carolina and Georgia, rural Georgia, comes from China.
Well, I know you own a lot of trucks. I don't know if you've been looking into this, but they have the autonomous cars and the 18-wheelers now. Mm-hmm. They're testing them, and they
killing people.
Well,
it's going to take a few years for them to stop killing people, but Tesla is getting better. Yeah, go ahead.
Up in Pennsylvania, they had the when I was going to school in Pittsburgh, I never was a Uber super person, but they had the autonomous Uber car up in Pittsburgh to where you could have it was a car with no driver. Mm-hmm. And these are the things people say, well, delivery services. I said it takes them time to perfect things, but eventually once they get it down, it will make them money and also alleviate a lot of problems. People laughed at Elon Musk with SpaceX. I don't know if you ever watched the video on CNN, all the rockets. I said every time they crash a rocket, they're getting closer to perfection. Mm-hmm. Not perfection, to perfection. Because the boosters will not come out. I said, do you know, people laughed at Elon Musk. I said, this man is set for life. They got a contract with the government. A private company is sending people to space, SpaceX. Mm-hmm. And about 3 years ago, we had an actual opportunity. We went down to Kennedy Space Center. We went to Kennedy Space Center. My girlfriend and I at the time, we were it was like 5 black folks and everybody else was Asians. We went down and took a tour. We got to see the SpaceX platform. It took us all through Kennedy Space Center. And one of the things is I want to get people to say, you need to take your kids to see stuff like that. Stop taking them to the beach. Take them on other things. Other groups build memories. We build debt. We leave our family members in debt. What other people do, they'll put $1 million worth of life insurance on themselves, but they'll spend all their money and say, I left a lot of money. So in case, something happened, y'all just pay everything off. We're going around spending all our money with no life insurance. Something happened to you, you don't have any health insurance. People, y'all don't realize, no matter what color you are, the triage only by law has to stabilize you. But if you don't have an insurance card, you get treated like crap. And there have been people they sent home from the emergency room have went home and died because they didn't have good insurance. Get a job that has benefits. You can't go out through life playing games that I don't have no insurance, man. They're not going to happen. Just because you 18 or 19 don't mean you can't get paralyzed. And a lot of young kids and a lot of people now my age and our age, you and I are in the same age group playing the same game. This is not going to end well. And now you're seeing all the people moving up in life and you're calling them lame. You know how many people call me corny because you live with your parents, you do nerdy stuff. I said, I'll laugh now every day to the damn bank because I have the ability to move anywhere in the world if I need to. For another thing, too, we don't talk about like with credit and backgrounds. I worked for the Department of Defense 9 years ago. I took a contractor job. I knew how the clearance process worked. The government owns the clearance. A contractor just has to sponsor you. The time I got the job, 3 weeks later, they said, fill out the SF-86. We need to get you a top secret clearance. In 2012, it took 90 days because I only had one address. I was living with my parents. So all of this stuff, my name and my credit, I'll never forget. The Office of Personnel Management, you sit down with a special agent once they get your paperwork. The guy circled and passed something over to me. He said, what's this? A bill. He said, you have been working. Why isn't that bill paid? He said, we cannot proceed with the process until you pay that bill. So I had to pay that bill. I had to write on the SF-86 the times I smoked weed because people have said, I said, this is not the time to lie, to say you did drugs in your life. You tell them I smoked weed. And he said, put up your hand and swear. And he said, you have to solemnly swear you will never smoke weed in possession of a U.S. government clearance. I said, I won't do it. So I've had a top secret clearance for 8 years. And now I work for another government agency. Basically, they reciprocated it. The point I want to make about this, your background and your credit and the character matters because having that clearance put me ahead of so many other people because I already had it. I don't have to wait 3 years or I don't have like all these crazy charges on my backgrounds. It shows trustworthiness. And a lot of us don't see you hanging around crazy people. You're spending your money stupidly. All of this stuff ties in. I'm 36. I'll be 37 in May. There are people at my age of 36, their lives are permanently ruined because of the choices they made since they were 18 years old. Nobody couldn't tell them nothing. They were at the club. They thought it was a game. They made kids. And now life has thrown them a very crappy hand life has thrown him a crappy hand. So now they're mad with everybody. You can't get a student loan with a felony. You can't get certain jobs with a felony. There is nothing cool about being in jail or making all these kids and partying. So
can I tell you how many people I've interviewed or had consult calls with who were like, hey, I just had to get fired. I couldn't keep the position because they gave me a certain amount of time to clean up my record. And I did not have enough money, the lawyer didn't have enough time. There was a guy who had to get in a sponge. He had to get it expunged. And I'm like, why are you walking around with this stuff on your credit and on your background all these years that you could have paid, you could have been paying to be expunged? I remember this guy telling me, well, it was $1,000 to get expunged. I said, you could have been making a payment plan or something. You know what I mean? Like, this guy said he did an interview with this guy and his background was this thick. And it was from hopping houses to houses, child support, silly stuff. And he's like, you making all this money. And he was in security and he was trying to go to a different company. They were like, we can't take you. You're making $80,000 a year and you got all this stuff. It was thick. You've got to pay this stuff down. And so I'm not always, I'll have Diamond Dave on later this week, probably talking about credit and how it's wrong for them to put all this stuff in your credit, but they can't trust you in high clearance locations with all this stuff on your credit. Yep. Right? It's not always just, I got cash. I don't care. I don't care about that child support. I'll let it run. No, baby, don't play that game.
And
it won't work right.
I had the clearance and, you get reinvestigated and everything, and they go talk to everybody in your life. They tell you 10 years. No, you don't lie about anything. As a matter of fact, I'll never forget the place in 2008, the last time I smoked weed. He said, tell me who were you with when you smoked weed? This was the agent. I said, I was with my homeboy. He said, what did the girl look like? I said, she was this. I traded her weed for a cigarello. Let me get his number. I need to talk to him. They go very deep to validate this stuff. Because my homeboy said, man, what's going on? I had this federal dude call me. I said, man, it's from a clearance process. Don't worry about it. I said, I'm good. And the thing is, People don't realize how valuable things like that are. It's just your name matters a lot. With the other agency I worked for, I was in something called a human reliability program. I had to talk to a psychologist. They checked my credit. They checked my hearing. They checked my blood work. I had to get a whole health scan because you're in access to so many things. You got to be healthy. So a lot of people don't understand how this works. And a lot of us get out here thinking, oh, I can shake the game. You cannot shake a computer system. Once they put it on your social security number, it's over. The worst
you ever
thing.
seen the movie Minority Report? Minority Report. You ever seen the movie Minority Report?
I've heard. I never watched it.
There's another movie, you guys, with Ethan Hawke. If anybody in the comments know what I'm talking about, the movie with Ethan Hawke, where everything was planned out. Like they took your blood and you were either this on the path person or you were not on the path. You could only take certain jobs. You could only do certain things because it had already predestined that you weren't going to live long, your health. And people think I'm joking about this, but a lot of stuff is going that way. In order to take this loan, I had to go get health insurance. When I told them that I was taking this, multi-million-dollar loan, they were like, "Oh, baby, you got to get health insurance." Like I have life insurance, that's a big policy, but they're like, "No, you got to get health insurance." And I've been paying cash for all these things. They're like, "No, we want to make sure." And then I had to submit a piece of paper saying the person on my staff, that's the operations manager, was in great health. Well, come to find out, he had a heart attack. He had never told me that. He has a sleep app machine. He never told me that. And they're like, "We just want to let you know your operations manager had a heart attack, had a sleep." You know what I mean? Like all these things that I'm like, oh. So as you start getting into these different echelons and levels of things, it's not playing. And so I just want to point out these two comments are cracking me up. Rest Belt Town looking like The Walking Dead. RWP said, "I'm in PA. Erica's telling the truth." I'm telling you, go through some of these towns. Dead as a doorknob. Lots of drugs. Lots of people on assistance. It's not a joke. You know what I mean? So when people say, why are people leaving? People leave even when they love their hometown because sometimes it's just not productive. So.
Yeah, life has a way. One of the beautiful things about life, it doesn't care about gender, race, ethnic background. Well, that's the same thing. It doesn't care about gender, race, or your upbringing. Life has a way of making everybody get prepared, and it weeds out the people that are not. One of the biggest things is, I tell folks, parents now lie to children about life. Because, when you were in school, if you work hard, no, life does not work like that. You could be a medical doctor and be unemployed. It's all about do you have heart and are you willing to dig deep and move when things get tough? Because that's the misconception they tell kids. Oh, everything in life, because I know some parents have gotten mad with me. I said, I don't care how smart your kid is. This is real life now. You gave him a diploma. He's out here with people like myself, Erica, Antoine Wade, anybody. It's fierce now. We don't care. It's cutthroat. And you sending kids, they send kids out here now. Oh, you were successful in school. Don't matter right now. We don't care about no 4.0. Can you get the job done? Because and that's the bad misconception they give kids, and kids end up killing themselves or getting on drugs. And they say, I didn't know life was like this. No, your parents sheltered you. It's real out here. The little girls, guys want to do what they want to. The girls want to try to get money for them. Everybody in life is going to try to screw you. They're going to try to do it from the front, or they're going to try to do it from the back. That's how the game works. You can't get mad at the game, and you can't be mad at the game. And a lot of people don't know how things really work until they get out there and get 35 years old. Like, I didn't know it was this rough. I didn't know life was this tough. No, life is tough. Every day, people kill themselves way before the pandemic.
It's called death by despair.
Yeah.
You can Google this. We're not making this up. It's called death by despair. They had to make a category for it. It's called death by despair.
And people just don't know what to do. They don't know who to talk to. They're confined to a space. They're like, well, I might as well off myself. This is the only thing I can do. And it's sad when people have no outlet because people lie to them. I tell anybody, I'd rather you to be mad at me for telling you the truth than telling you a lie. I can. If you eventually get mad about the truth, you'll come back around. But we're letting people know, oh, you could go to school. I'm just be honest and say it. You could go to school and get a history degree and you can make something. Most people that do history, when I was in state, they would say I'm doing history or pre-law to go be a lawyer. That was like the e-ticket. No, then you'll have people say, well, I'm 50 years old. I make $50,000. I said the average median income is 50. You know, they're paying a 23-year-old out of school $80,000, right? That's 20 years younger than you, 30 years younger than you. And they don't think about it like that. You know, so people have a misconception of life. They want an easy fix. There is nothing in life easy. You know, the Super Bowl is on Sunday. Everybody's watching the Super Bowl. I said, do you know the amount of work it took those teams to get there? You're just watching the end product. Everybody sees the end product, but nobody is there for the process, the late nights. Because I can tell you many nights when I was in school, man, there's some nights I'm like, what the hell am I doing? You know, but I pushed through it. I dug deep, you know, because you're going to find out in life, you have nobody to help your ass out. There are problems that are going to come along. It's just going to be you. That's how you know you're really doing something great. When you're the only person that can really solve your problems. How many people you gonna go to and say, well, I need $30,000, man, to go to school or whatnot? You either take out a loan or you come up with the money yourself. And in life, people don't want to put that kind of hard work in and take the initiative, because a lot of people don't realize to get something out of life, you got to put something in. This is no easy task. And people will say, well, the tech field make a lot of money. If you don't like technology like that, you're going to be miserable, because
but I'm gonna say this real quick. People always dictate the job they want to get off. Well, how happy am I gonna be? Who's at the job? Who am I around? I have friends and girlfriends who've only been in tech 3-4 years, and they're going home. Their student loans are paid off. They gave their husband most of their check for the down payment on their house, and they going home to have these babies. And I know people, oh, Erica, I'm just telling you, and I'm gonna bring up 2 comments. Nerd Soul said, I feel you, but let's not act like Black people are the only folks at the beach. I am going to say this. We have a whole bunch of white people at the beach. We got a whole bunch of other people at the beach. But let's be very clear. I'm going to do a video where I'm going to show you in 2019, Black people's income went up, but Hispanic people's income really went up in 2018 and 2019. Why is this important? Because the majority of the Hispanic people that are in this survey and the IRS and the CDC are showing they own the company. They're in construction. They're in real estate. They're in healthcare, right? A lot of the African, and I'm going to say this, it's called, I forgot the name of the theory, but it's when everybody in your family can kind of hold the line, right? So if you got a couple engineers in your family and you lose your job, your 2 brothers, cousins can help you stay up. If everybody in the family and you the only person doing tech and your mama and all them doing retail and food and all stuff, you're going to stay here. You're going to stay a permanent underclass. So I'm not trying to make it like Black people are only people at the beach, but if you only got one in the family, that ain't a success.
No.
You know, we make jokes about the Nigerians, but you'll see a Nigerian family, every single person's an engineer. Every single person's a medical student or a nurse or a doctor or something in the medical field. That's how you have the strong link. And I'm going to look up the theory because I really want to talk about it, but even here in my family, a bunch of my cousins now are like, well, hey, we own real estate. Let's start owning some trucks too. Let's own some truck parking lots. We found some parking lots in North Carolina, South Carolina. What do you want to do with it, Erica? Because at the end of the day, it can't be one person in the family soaring really high and like, he did good. What's his sister doing? What's his brother doing? I see way too many talented Black people who have to come down and adopt a sibling's children or come down and pay mama and uncle's rent because they're the only one. So I'm not going to say Black people are the only people out to the beach, but in order for that theory to work, you got to have more than one family member that's a superstar. You got to have 4 or 5, 6 of them so we can keep the family up. So I want to make that clear. And also my, put this up here. As companies are analyzing how much money they saved in 2020 from not having employees on site, parking lot attendants, cafeteria workers, admins, more layoffs coming. This I agree with. At some point around 2022, you're gonna have a lot of people have to come back into the office because the productivity level is gonna go down because people are gonna get too comfortable at home. And you're gonna see a lot more of the week work model, but smaller. Because right now even here in Austin, companies are saying, hey, can we get out this office space, these smaller office spaces, so they can put a few cubicles in because they still need some people to come to work. They don't need a whole floor, but they need one building or a small office or 2,000 square feet. So again.
And regardless, everybody needs to remember all immigrants that come over are not working doing manual labor jobs.
Exactly.
No, everybody that comes over, everybody that comes over.
This guy cracks me up. Thank you.
He be on Oshay channel too. But all the immigrants come over. You got to think about it. You have immigrants now that are lawyers, they're doctors, they're engineers. Where I live close to is called, it used to be called Medical College of Georgia. It's called Augusta University. It is a big medical and dental school. So what happens, they come over, they learn the best kind of mess, they learn the best stuff from us, then they go back to their country. Or they employ them over here because a lot of companies get tax cuts for hiring them. Mm-hmm. And a lot of people don't understand, well, they can't be no medical doctor. I said the best mathematicians in the families are the drug dealers. I said, you know what kind of math it take to calculate how to do the drugs and stuff that they're trying to sell? Imagine if they applied that to something honest. They can't go to school. I've heard people say that person can't go to school to be no medical doctor. They could go to school to be a lawyer or medical doctor. They need to go to school to be a lawyer because half of y'all, they're going to be trying to save y'all half the time for getting out of trouble because y'all being stupid right now. We don't push our kids and our family members to a higher level saying that's too hard. Nothing is too hard. You want to apply effort to pull men and women and get crappy jobs, but you don't want to put the effort in to be a better person. So you want somebody like ourselves to show you the shortcut, like, oh, man, man, it's tough out here, man. They got their foot on my neck. No, you made 3 kids by 3 different women, so you know what you're doing.
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
You know what you're doing. I call it how it is. I don't really have time for that kind of game. And a lot of people don't realize.
Man, they got me on child support. What they were supposed to do? Listen, I had a person apply for one of the housing units, Dr. Dix. Mm-hmm. And, the property manager asked them questions like, hey, why are you applying for this housing? Well, me and my baby daddy broke up and he gonna move in this 2-bedroom apartment. I want to move over here. And she got 4 or 5 kids. I was like, oh no. She tell that woman and call her back and tell her go wherever that man going. And there ain't nothing you can do by yourself, sister, with 4 kids and $2,000 a month income. Go back wherever he at. Tell him y'all gonna live together. Y'all living together forever. And
a lot of people have wanted myself or people I know to try to get them the shortcut. Well, y'all did it this way. My dad in 1969 got drafted to the Vietnam War from the town I'm from. So my dad was 18 or 19 years old, got drafted to the Vietnam War. I think about it and I watch documentaries. You got to remember during that time, we had the civil rights stuff and everything. I cannot, as a black man, I cannot even comprehend going to fight over in Vietnam with racism, people calling you the nigger, all other types of words. And then my dad made it back because a lot of people, what they don't realize about a lot of Vietnam vets, a lot of them came back on drugs bad because over there they were on drugs. So he didn't come back with any issues. He had PTSD from what my mom told me. But my dad came back, worked his way up. He became a teacher, started teaching auto paint and body, and he opened his own little business. And that's how we learned the concept of working hard, going to work. And I remember being a little kid, we would paint people's cars and stuff. And I'm like, wow, I wonder what these people are doing. That was in the late 80s, early 90s. I'm like, wow, and then as we got older, my dad passed and my brother and I had the business. So we knew what kind of people we're dealing with. We were dealing with dope dealers. These are the only people that could pay $1,500 to get a car painted. This is the early 2000s. Mm-hmm. So as time progressed, some of these guys have went to jail. Some of them have died. And I am so glad that my dad taught us a hardworking concept because I could have easily got deterred and said, man, all this sanding and painting cars and doing all this other stuff, man, this is too hard to work for me right now. He taught my brother and myself. My sister never came down, but he taught us a way to work with your hands and how to be respectful and how to do things. A lot of guys right now are missing the male. Let me see how I say it. They're missing learning how to be a man, because that is what people don't realize. The older you get, the more it shows you hadn't had a male role model in your life as a man. You can tell by the way you do things.
Have you seen the meme talking about a lot of y'all walking around like the 35-year-old version of your single mom, but you a man? It's a meme. I think Oshay sent it to me or somebody texted it to me and I started laughing. I'm like, share it on your channel. But they're really emotional. Like I literally had truck drivers who are like super emotional. I'm like, oh baby, like, oh, that's feminine. Stop that. You a grown man. Why are you talking like this? I remember going to a barbershop and there was a guy mad because somebody skipped him, right? And it's the thing with barbershop. It's just rude. Don't do that, right? And he going off, and the old men were laughing, and he just going off, and it was kind of like sassy. And I felt bad for him because I'm like, the old men are laughing at you not because it's like a joke, like they're laughing at how your demeanor is, how you're handling yourself right now. They're laughing, and went right over the dude's head. So I mean, there's a lot I can say on that, but people, you also are going to have a lot of people. That's why they're checking out, because life's hard, and it's not just even suicide. I'm talking about emotionally check out, mentally check out, just going back to the apartment, playing video games, not going to interact with people, and it's dangerous. It's dangerous.
I lost my job. I got fired out of college. This tells you I got fired from my first computer programming job 10 years ago. I look back at it now, deserve to be fired because I was doing my best, but that was my first sort of corporate job. And I got fired from that job. I remember I was depressed. I know I applied for about 1,000 jobs. I actually got somebody to call me the other month saying, we have your resume on file from 2011 in 2012, because I was sending my resume everywhere. And I got fired, and I was looking for a job and I went on to LinkedIn. I never had a LinkedIn profile. That's how I got my Department of Defense job, because I met a person that actually was affiliated with the contractor. LinkedIn is a very big networking site for professional jobs. The thing I try to tell folks, if you apply for a job, everybody is hitting submit. I actually will go on there and find a hiring manager and send them an email. Hey, I applied for the job. Here's my resume. I don't care what they think of me. All they can say is no. Even, with certain teaching jobs I wanted to apply for, I research, I find the dean of the school, I put their email in, send them my bio, my resume, my undergrad transcripts, and my graduate transcripts, and say, hey, I want a job. Always remember, people out there, people are just applying for things. Remember to put forth the best effort. And that's where it comes from, to be a man, how I was raised to be resilient. You can't be soft. My fiance depends on me to be a man. I was a man before I met her, but you don't need to be a soft man, not in this world we're living in now. People will eat you up. You have to be a man. You have to have leadership skills, because a lot of our young men walk around, yeah, you have a pocket full of money, but do you know how to deal with conflict? Do you know how to deal with people? If somebody cuts you in line, do you know to just let them cut you? Do you know if a girl is having an attitude with you, handing you your food, you got to think about it. She working here at McDonald's. I'm going back to my penthouse. I don't know what you may have, but that's how I'm trying to tell people. And the thing is, you have to think about that. Oh, excuse me, let me drink something. I've been talking. You have to think about that. Your actions have consequences. Young men, men don't think about the consequences of what they do. Like you said, the guy went off at the person cutting in front of him. You're
like, baby, calm down. Which people's time are valuable, but how much valuable is it your time you out here wilding out at a barbershop on a Saturday when you already know it's busy?
It is, and people, all of this plays into the topic of leadership, knowing how to deal with problems. People, there are going to be problems come your way. You might lose your job next month. People are going to listen to this stream and say they don't know what they're talking about. I tell anybody, Google the automation's effect on the workforce, and it will probably make you scared, because it is coming. They are finding faster ways to do things, and the easier way the faster a company could do something, the faster they can get rid of you, because you're interchangeable. They don't need you. For one, if they're paying you $100,000 a year, well, we could cut that in half. We'll just pay the robot. And I know the big thing was universal-based income, to talking about taxing the robots like a salary. Well, a lot of people thinking, well, if I lose my job to a robot, they'll pay me unemployment. No. Just like with the pandemic, the bill, people don't understand. What people don't understand, the government is not about to just keep sending trillions of dollars out. This last bill is going to be probably passed this month or in the summer. They don't have money to just keep sending out. And I think
we're going to have about one more PPP, and that's a wrap. Every company that fails after that is gone. You're gone.
Yep. And a lot of people sitting at home. People used to laugh at the pizza man. The pizza man will probably tell you, man, my business.
I make $3,000.
I had a guy come to the house and do pest control. The guy said, man, they told me you need to go home because he said their businesses went up. Somebody came here to fix an AC unit and to do plumbing. He said, man, our phone does not stop ringing. Mm-hmm. And any kind of blue collar or any kind of trade job, everybody I talked to, people doing home improvements, they say, yeah, people just sitting at home now, they ain't got nothing to do. You were talking about the mother-in-law suite. People now got to build an extra room on their house because they got people that got to live with them.
Well, and also stuff that didn't bother them because they spent 8 hours a day at the office and in traffic and their kids are gone. Now your kids done tore up stuff in your house and done tore up this and it was on its last leg anyway, and now you got to fix it. And part of what I was trying to say earlier about the housing, when I worked at Lowe's, it blew my mind every day. People were coming in trying to buy AC units to stick in windows in very nice houses because they could not afford to fix the AC. They didn't have any money set aside. They didn't have any money stored up. So whenever I'm sticking out somewhere, I'm like, they got no money. They on their last leg. They here on by last leg. Now I'm gonna read this off, but again, Maddie Host, thank you for donating to the channel. The topic is not on this tonight. If you got 180 racks that you cashed out, book a consult with me. That's what you do, because there isn't a generic advice I would give for somebody with 180. Because depending on if you in Texas, I'm gonna tell you one thing. If you in North Carolina, South Carolina, I'm gonna tell you a different thing. If you in Florida, I'm gonna tell you a different thing. Because 180, depending on what you're trying to do, could be great, could be not great. I can tell you right now, once this the virus hit, and now we've liquidated some of the office staff and all this other stuff, and I've got different contractors working on different things. Oh, my mindset's completely different on what I'm going to do and how I'm going to run things. When I talk about hiring foreign drivers and all this other stuff, people don't have time. They're cutting the fat the next couple of years. So, if you got 180, book a consult call. We'll talk about it, or talk about it on a show where I'm talking about finance.
But, people just got to remember, you could buy all kinds of land right now. Does he recommend any? Yeah. I know CCNA, the CISP, I don't have any certs right now. I never got that technical. CISP, CCNA, I know CompTIA, they have the AWS. One faculty job I applied for, they wanted somebody to have that. So those are all things you could take online or take at a tech school. Oh, one field that a lot of people are not aware of, I have helped the school rewrite their, one of the other things that I do, I help rewrite curriculums and classes. A big university, I'm helping them rewrite data analytics. That is a huge degree or area that people need to realize. We have big data. There's going to be so much data to people don't know what to do with the data. They got to have people to tell them what to do. The psychological of the world is one of the guys one of the high ranking managers, he said, we have people here that won't make a decision. What people don't realize, we have people that won't make decisions, and people want to be told what to do. So if you're good at both of those, you can make a lot of money. If you can make decisions and not afraid to say no or let's go for it and tell people what to do. People don't like to think for themselves. It's a psychological thing. The less thinking they got to do, the easier it is for them. If you tell them, hey, your role today is to go to A, B, C, D, E, okay, well, I'll do that. And I met people.
To hit on your point, I didn't realize when I got in trucking, I thought drivers wanted to go everywhere. A lot of drivers want to go the same route every week.
Yep.
And I said, isn't that boring? No, it's the predictability.
Yep.
Because if you can go somewhere new every week, you got to find a new restaurant, a new this, a new that, and this. And when somebody broke it down to me, I'm like, that's crazy. Why would you be in the truck seeing the world and only want to go from Florida to South Carolina at the same time, back and forth? To me, that's ridiculous. But people want to have predictability.
Yep.
They want somebody to tell them what to do.
Yep.
What am I doing with this stuff? Well, what do you want to do? I don't know. Zappos, when they lost all those people, when they said, hey, you're not going to have any more managers, you're just going to do your job, and if you find a good idea, push it up. And people were like, oh. See, they do that at Google because you're dealing with a different type of group of people. No. When they did that on factory work, people were like, oh, I'm quitting. There's no manager to report people to. We got tattletales on floors where people like, I'm gonna tell the manager.
We got
snitches. That's all they know how to do, right? So I've been to training, you guys. That's how funny what he just said. I've been to training where they teach you how to market to people who don't know how to make decisions.
Yep.
They say, don't give them too many choices. Give them 2 choices.
Another good field, Frank Stan mentioned project management. My fiance got her PIMP. If people don't know what that is, project management professional. It's a test that you take. Some people fail it 2 or 3 times, but she passed it on the first one. I mean, she studied and everything, so she passed it in December, so her job paid for it. That's another good, especially in IT, because it shows you can help lead projects. But one of the things, and one of the good things is, one of the things people need to know about being a project manager, and I tell folks, I don't care whatever your qualifications are, I've been a programmer, I done developed stuff. So if you write a schedule, I already know it's not going to work. What you're not thinking is, a lot of people think when a programmer changes a piece of code, they could just fix it. No, they got to test it and beta test it in QA to see if the whole program continues to run the same way. Because somebody that has no technical knowledge would say it only takes 10 hours. You need to give them 80 hours to do that. They would say it shouldn't take that much. Yes, it does, because they need to rewrite it. They need to test it. They need to beta test it. They need to have somebody else that didn't write it look through it and test it again. And people don't understand how things work. So to move to the next point about if you can make decisions, I've noticed you can't pull the wool over my eye, because 99% of people, they talk trash. They talk a bunch of garbage in the world. That's how I see it. And I let people tell me stuff. I'm like, nah, my mind, when you tell me one thing in 30 seconds, I'm thinking about what you're telling me, like a car salesman or anybody. Yeah. That's why car dealerships hate places like Carvana, because there's no negotiating. When you go, this is one of the best things I tell folks. When you go to buy something, have the power. When you go to buy the house, first of all, you tell them, look, I got the credit score. I know what I'm approved for. This is how much I'm going to spend. You don't tell me what I'm going to do. I'm going to tell you what I'm going to do. And what you don't realize is, they don't have any other power. The mortgage company, not the mortgage company, but the realtor. The first thing they'll say, somebody else will buy it. We'll let them buy it. But you're not going to sit here and put me in a pressuring situation when I'm the consumer. You need me more than I need you. And people don't realize, when you work for companies, you got to make the company think the company needs to know they need you more than you need them. You need to make yourself valuable at that company to where, like, well, I'm thinking about, well, you're going to leave us. Let's see if we can match it. You know, most people leave companies and they just move to the next job.
They don't even ask, can we get more? They're scared to ask for a raise.
Yeah, and a lot of companies, depending on how good you are, come to work, be reliable, make decisions. I'm one of those people that will stand out there and take the risk. Oh, risk takers are big. That's how your career grows. If you cannot take risk, and the thing is, you need to have a resume of where you're taking risks. I went to school in Pittsburgh. I never wrote a dissertation in my life. And the commonality I tell folks, writing a 10-page paper and writing a dissertation is 2 different things.
Listen, that's why I didn't want to get no doctorate. I was like, I ain't trying to write that.
And a lot of people, it's a lot of discipline, a lot of hard work. So I stepped out. I said, I'm going for it. I did this before I met my fiance. My girlfriend. I had to decide. I said, this is what I'm about to do. I didn't care if I had to quit my full-time job. I had my teaching job. I said, this is something to make me a better person. I'm not doing this for anybody else. And that's one of the biggest things I want to tell to the people listening.
I'm going to tell the people listening right now, if you see me with a Dr. Erica Williams anywhere, it's because I paid for that honorary degree. Okay? I'm going to donate to that historical Black college and get my honorary doctorate.
And one of the biggest things I tell people in life, no matter if you're a man or a woman, always do something for you. I didn't go to school for my family. I went to school for the person looking back at the mirror every morning. Make sure you're comfortable with yourself. Don't ever just doing stuff in life to make other people happy. Like, well, I went to school to do this. No, I'm doing things in life because I want to do them, because Patrick wants to be satisfied. Yeah. Well, if people go on my LinkedIn page, I was going to put the information. They can find me on LinkedIn. They're going to see the whole name. So, and if they wanted to go find my dissertation on ProQuest, I was going to put it up. You could see
Sure.
Yeah, you can see the first 24 pages. Let me see. Where do you put them in? Oh, I need to put them in the comment.
You can put them in the comment, or you can
Private
put
chat.
them up to the right. Yeah, you can. If it won't let you, let me know. You can also share your screen. I gave you the ability to do it too.
Okay, I did a private chat, and now did it pop up?
Somebody look in there. Tell me if it's in there. If it's in the private one with just me. Oh, you put it in the private chat. Okay, I see it. I'm gonna take it. Hold on. Hold on, y'all. I'm putting it in there. Comment. Okay, y'all should be able to see that. I put the link in there, so if you want to click on it, or we'll share it also after the video renders. But y'all, I know we hitting on it today. We'll do another show of it too, but I just want y'all to know, if y'all like this show, hit it.
And I hit my I put my LinkedIn in there too. So yeah, I clicked. Hold on, let's see. Yeah. If you click on the link to my dissertation, it'll pull it up. You can see the first 24 pages, but you gotta pay to get the rest. Because it's in ProQuest. Somebody contacted me from the Pew Research Center back in August and actually took it and cited it in a study.
Listen, I'm gonna do a book on I can't give all the titles. There's like 5 books I'm working on with some ghostwriters and some other stuff. But one of them is you're gonna see a lot of women lose a lot of weight and a lot of folks get married. And it's economic. Even though people are like, oh no, they're gonna do Kevin Samuels and all these people teaching these stuff. It's economic. They have no choice. And people are like, oh girl, I can just work a job. I ain't got to put up with no man. That's changing. I'm gonna tell you right now. There is a thing called the pendulum swings back, and anytime you have big swings in the economy, right or left, it eventually swings back to try to get a steady middle. But trust me, when you go to people's houses, someone put home automation is big industry. It is, because you know why? There's a lot of men, women, and elderly people who can't fix anything. So they need it to be, it needs to be a computer to tell them what's wrong, so they can call somebody to come fix it. Right? And then you'll still have a segment of the population who have all the basic stuff, the basic refrigerator, washer, dryer, basic, and somebody who's an old school repairman can come back and repair it. But you'll have another level of the high-end appliance repair people who will be there for the high-end appliances.
Yeah, I put my LinkedIn in the comments. If somebody wants to reach out to me on LinkedIn, I do it from when I do the stuff with Oshay. Some guys have reached out to me and I helped them out with some stuff. So, but yeah, that's pretty much, my stuff on automation and talking about stuff. Mm-hmm. And these are the things I talk about with my fiance. We talk to folks, and I'm realizing there's only certain topics we can talk to people about because their mind does not grasp the bigger picture. And
yeah, I mean, we'll talk more about it. We'll go over some news articles and some future shows, just so people can kind of get it. But I'm telling y'all, like, this is a big deal. I want y'all to, you heard it here first, right? like not just internet, but there's a YouTube channel where a guy taught himself software engineering, got his first job leaving his parents' house out of Las Vegas to California, took the job, made a bunch of money, went back to Las Vegas during the pandemic, and got fired and took another job, right? And then got fired again, and his first company called him back like, hey, can you come back? And we'll pay you more. So to say, tech, I'm like, if you have a skill, they need you. They need you.
Yeah.
Because they can't find enough people. So I've had a friend here in Austin. He was rude, nasty, and grumpy at his job. Quit, moved to another job, got a better attitude for various reasons. And then they called him back and were like, hey, how you doing, man? You feeling better? Yeah, I'm feeling better. And they let him come back and paid him more and made him a manager. Y'all, they don't have enough people in these fields. They don't have enough people. But yeah, so we're going to keep your, listen, Style Stuff to Wealth, high-end appliances. It's a real deal. There are going to be people at these high-end houses, especially here in Austin, where they got stuff that you could tell the kitchen to get started, how much food's left in your refrigerator. The refrigerator can order your food to be delivered to your house. It's a lot of stuff up there. So. Yeah,
it is. And telehealth is huge. They're doing remote appointments, and if you don't know how to work a computer now, I feel very sorry for you, because everything in the world now is based off of a circuit. which is a computer. It's based off of a processor. Oh, we had people spending $500 and $600 on an Xbox Series X and a PlayStation 5 when your kid don't even have a computer. You know how many kids now don't have computers?
Don't have computers, and then out here talking about everybody can't afford a computer, but you just saw all those people rush to go to DPX, right? And the computer's $100, $200. Do you know how many times my friend works at a pawn shop here? Well, he's a part owner, and he's like, do you know how many times parents come in and try to pawn shop the laptop, and the owner just said, we're not going to take any children's laptops. We're just not going to do it. Because we know they're for the children at the school, right? So, you know, even thugs robbing people's houses, the computer got a whole piece of tape on it saying it's from the school. And they try to pawn it, and they're like, if you don't get out of here, you know what I'm saying? So anyway, we're gonna wrap this show up. We've been on about an hour and 45 minutes. Tell your future wife I said, hey, we're gonna get it wrapped up in here, but I'm just telling y'all, like, it's a lot of great stuff going on here in Austin. And somebody even said Austin's a great place for business. I'm telling you, man, you get a service business cracking in a day. I literally, like, the kid that moved here, he has so much work. I haven't even been able to work with him because he's so full of work. So,
when the video is over, I'll when you had the comment section, I'll put my address there so people also, can also find me. Yeah, I'll
pin it to the top. Okay. Thank you guys for being here tonight. I hope this was helpful. I probably will have Tam on next Tuesday or whatever. And Mike Jones, this is one of the #1 questions. Explain it to him.
It depends on what kind of job you're getting. You definitely depends on the felony, but I'm not gonna say no and I'm not gonna say yes. It depends on what you've done, and I can tell you with the government, it's probably damn near impossible to get a job because most government jobs that pay a lot of money, you got to get a security clearance.
You can get one probably with a startup, but not with the government.
No. You know, I wish him the best with getting a tech job because everybody needs a job right now. So, there's my first company didn't even drug test me. So, not the government, but the first private company didn't do a drug test. There are a lot of tech companies that don't drug test, but they do background checks. They don't care what you did. The girl told me, well, I don't care what you do outside of work. Her biggest thing was you come to work. So yeah. Well, the young lady Tam said Verizon will hire felons. McDonald's and every place now can't find nobody, so they'll hire you.
Stop it. Dr. Dick, stop it. Okay, listen, not McDonald's. All right, there are some jobs you can get as a felon, and you can be a middleman to millions. You can own a company and hire people underneath you. Again, that's a whole nother conversation. We'll bring on Diamond Dave talking about credit and also the stock market at the end of this week. But all right, Dr. Dix, thank you for being here. Hope to bring you back on a panel. Great information. I hope you guys loved it.
Okay.
So thanks. It was great.
All right. Thank you for allowing me to come on and have a good one.
Sure. You too.